Meditation before Pentecost on Friday, May 29th of 2020. Pentecost Sunday is this weekend, and so we look forward to it with today's gospel from John chapter 21, the last chapter. After Jesus had revealed himself to his disciples and eaten breakfast with them, he said to Simon Peter, "Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these?" Simon Peter answered him, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." And Jesus said to him, "Feed my lambs." Then he said to Simon Peter a second time, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" Simon Peter answered him, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." He said to him, "Tend my sheep." He said to him the third time, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" And Peter was distressed that he had said to him a third time, "Do you love me?" And he said to him, "Lord, you know everything. You know that I love you." Jesus said to him, "Feed my sheep. Amen, I say to you, when you were younger, you used to dress yourself and go where you wanted. But when you grow old, you will stretch out your hands, and someone else will dress you and lead you where you do not want to go." He said this, signifying by what kind of death he would glorify God. And when he had said this, he said to Peter, "Follow me." In this very important passage, St. Peter is brought to a fire. Keep in mind that the last time he was with Jesus and standing by a fire, he denied Jesus 3 times. So here it is, less than 40 days later, and Peter is standing by a fire. And Jesus reminds him of his prior total failure by asking him, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" And Peter says, "Yes, Lord, you know I love you." And he says a second time, "Simon, do you love me?" And Peter says, "Yes, Lord, you know I love you." And a third time, "Simon, do you love me?" "Yes, Lord, I love you." Now notice that Jesus uses his former name, Simon, rather than Peter, because when he was around the fire, Peter acted a lot more like Simon, the fisherman, than he acted like Peter, the apostle, and later the saint. So Jesus restores Peter by asking these 3 questions. And then Peter, in complete contrition, says, "Yes, you know I love you." And so Jesus restores him. There's more to it than that. Jesus uses 2 different words for love. The first 2 times he says, "Peter, do you love me?" The word being agape. Do you love me? Are you willing to die for me? And Peter says, "Of course, Lord, you know I love you." But the word Peter uses is not agape. He says philios, which is brotherly love. It's not self-sacrificing love, but it's the next highest love. And so here it is. Jesus says, "Do you agape me? Are you willing to die for me?" And Peter says, "Yes, Lord, I love you in a brotherly way." He does that twice. And Jesus finally says, "Peter, do you philios me? Do you have brotherly love for me?" That's the third question. And Peter answers, "Yes, Lord, you know all things. You know that I philios you. I love you with brotherly love." This is actually contrition on Peter's part, because once upon a time, Peter thought he was so great that he could stand with Jesus when he was faced with torture, and he bailed out. And at this time, Peter knows that he cannot be a martyr unless God wills him to be a martyr. And you'll notice in the final passage that Jesus says to Peter, one day you will go where you don't want to go, knowing that Peter would die as a martyr. So Peter's apostasy was saved by Jesus, but his penance was to be perfected through martyrdom. And so Peter gave his life for the church and was glad to do it because it's what Jesus had done for him.